The studio lights hummed like a distant thunderstorm, promising revelations that could shatter careers or forge legends. But hidden in the guest's steady gaze was a secret resentment, one that simmered just below the surface, waiting for the right spark. The set gleamed under a cascade of warm spotlights, desks polished to a mirror sheen, with oversized screens flickering behind like watchful eyes. Cameras glided silently on tracks, capturing every angle, while the audience shifted in their seats, a sea of expectant faces bathed in the soft glow of overhead LEDs. Muffled applause building. Denzel Washington strode onto the stage with the effortless grace of a man who'd faced far worse than bright lights and probing questions. His tailored suit hugged his frame, charcoal gray with a subtle sheen, but his tie was slightly askew, a small rebellion against the polished facade. He paused mid-stride, flashing a warm smile that didn't quite reach his eyes, and extended a hand to the host. Jon Stewart rose from behind his desk, grinning broadly, his sharp eyes twinkling with that trademark mischief. "Denzel, my friend, welcome back to the show. It's been too long. Last time, you had us all in stitches with that story about filming in the rain. How's life treating you these days?" Denzel settled into the guest chair, crossing his legs with deliberate calm. "Life's a marathon, John, not a sprint. I've been blessed, but let's not pretend it's all sunshine. You've got questions, I've got answers. Just make sure they're worth the airtime." His voice carried a philosophical edge, laced with a hint of challenge that hung in the air like unspoken thunder. But he still hadn't revealed why he'd almost cancelled the appearance. The conversation eased in, John leaning forward with his easy charm. "All right, let's start light. Your new film, it's got everyone buzzing. What drew you to this role, a guy fighting against the system from the inside?" Denzel chuckled softly, his fingers drumming lightly on the armrest. "The script spoke to me, John. It's about integrity in a world that rewards the opposite. Reminds me of real life, politicians promising change, then cashing checks from the same old lobbies." The audience murmured in agreement, a few nods rippling through the crowd. John nodded, his smile widening. "Speaking of real life, you've always been vocal about social issues. With the election coming up, any endorsements you're itching to make?" Denzel's expression tightened just a fraction, but he recovered with a wry grin. "Endorsements? I'm an actor, not a kingmaker. People need to think for themselves, not follow celebrities like sheep." He shifted in his seat, glancing at the audience as if gauging their pulse. The revelation about the near cancellation slipped out almost casually a moment later, prompted by John's gentle prod. "I heard rumors you were hesitant about coming on tonight. Care to share why?" Denzel paused, his eyes narrowing thoughtfully. "Truth? I wondered if this would be another fluff piece or if we'd dig deeper. But here I am, let's dig." The audience leaned in, sensing the shift. And that's when John asked the question that changed everything. The interview flowed onward, John steering with practiced ease. "Fair enough. Let's talk family. You've got kids who've carved their own paths in Hollywood. Proud dad moments?" Denzel's face softened genuinely. "Every day, John. They're talented, grounded. But privacy matters. I don't parade them for clicks." His tone was warm, but there was a protective undercurrent, like a lion guarding its pride. John pressed lightly. "Totally get that. But in an age of social media, how do you balance fame and family? Any regrets from your own rise?" A flicker of irritation crossed Denzel's features, gone in an instant. "Regrets? Sure, like anyone. But money and fame, they're tools, not gods. I've seen too many chase them and lose their souls." The audience applauded softly, appreciating the wisdom. But John, sensing the rating's potential, leaned in closer. "Speaking of money, there's talk about your investments in community projects. Noble, but critics say it's PR. What's the real story?" Denzel's jaw tightened, his hand gesturing dismissively. "Critics? They sit on the sidelines. I've put my money where my mouth is: schools, arts programs. It's not about PR, it's about legacy." His voice rose slightly, philosophical notes, sharpening into defense. The studio producer offstage caught Jon's eye with a subtle head shake. Easy does it. But Jon ignored it, his wit turning provocative. Legacy's a big word. What about politics? You've dodged endorsing, but your films scream commentary. Afraid of backlash? Denzel's laugh was short, almost bitter. Afraid? No. Tired of the game, yes. Politics divides, art unites, or should. Whispers spread through the audience, a mix of agreement and tension. The producer's glance grew more urgent, but Jon pushed on. Escalation built as questions delved deeper. Let's get personal. Your upbringing in Mount Vernon, the struggles. How did that shape your views on wealth and equality? Denzel leaned back, his eyes locking onto Jon's. Shaped everything. Grew up seeing hardworking folks get crushed by the system. That's why I give back. But don't twist it into some rags to riches fairy tale. His gesture was emphatic, a hand slicing the air. Jon smirked. Not twisting, just probing. And family, rumors about tensions with extended relatives over money. Fact or fiction? A hush fell over the studio. Denzel's face hardened, his nervous laugh echoing awkwardly. Fiction, Jon? And disrespectful. My family's off limits. The audience shifted uncomfortably, a few gasps audible. The producer gestured wildly from the wings, cut it. But Jon, eyes gleaming, continued. Come on, Denzel, we're all human. Share a bit, the fans love the real you. Denzel's tone sharpened. The real me? Or the version that boosts your ratings? Applause erupted from some sections, boos from others. The air crackled with energy. Nobody expected the audience to turn so quickly. Reactions amplified, laughter at Jon's quips turned to tense whispers. A woman in the front row clapped enthusiastically after Denzel's retort, shifting allegiance. Producers exchanged panicked glances, one mouthing, "Wrap it up." Jon, undeterred, fired another. Politics again, you've criticized both parties. But if you ran for office, what would you change first? Denzel exhaled slowly, his philosophical bent emerging. I'd start with respect, Jon. For people's lives, their stories. Not turning pain into entertainment. The audience erupted in mixed applause, the barometer swinging wildly. But the real explosion was seconds away. The tension coiled tighter. Jon, sensing the edge, tried a lighter pivot. All right, let's ease up. Favorite co-star stories? But Denzel wasn't biting. No, Jon. You've poked the bear, now deal with it. Why drag in family? For laughs? His voice boomed, hands slamming lightly on the desk. Thud echoing. Audience members whispered loudly, phones lighting up as tweets began. Producers signaled frantically, commercial break. Jon laughed it off. Just keeping it real, Denzel. Viewers want depth. Denzel's eyes flashed. Depth? Or drama? The studio felt electric, on the brink. In that pause, the air thickened with unspoken fury. Mini-climax ignited as Denzel rose suddenly, unclipping his microphone with deliberate slowness. Enough. I'm not your puppet for ratings. His voice was calm but thunderous, philosophical resolve cracking into raw emotion. Jon stood too, arms outstretched. Whoa, Denzel, sit down. We're just talking. But Denzel turned to the audience, his presence commanding. This isn't dialogue, it's dissection. I came for respect, not this circus. Gasps rippled through the crowd, applause clashing with stunned silence. Producers rushed the stage edge, lights glaring harshly. Jon's face flushed, his wit faltering. Come on, man, don't walk out. The show's not over. Denzel paused at the stage lip, turning back with a piercing stare. For me it is. He strode off, leaving the microphone dangling like a noose. The studio erupted, shouts, cheers, chaos. Jon stared after him, microphone in hand, the screens frozen on his shocked expression. Glare intensifying. But what happened backstage would shock them all. The studio plunged into pandemonium as the lights dimmed for an unscheduled commercial break, the audience's roar a chaotic symphony of cheers, boos, and heated debates. overlapping shouts fading into murmurs. Producers swarmed the set like ants on a spilled drink, one barking into a headset. "Kill the feed! Rerun the promo reel!" Jon Stewart stood frozen at his desk, his face a mask of forced composure cracking under the glare of the house lights, while crew members hustled to reset chairs and microphones. Backstage, the green room door slammed shut behind Denzel Washington, his footsteps echoing like gunshots in the narrow hallway. Social media ignited faster than a brush fire. Tweets exploded. Hashtag Denzel walks out, Jon pushed too far? With clips of the mic drop going viral, racking up millions of views in minutes. Headlines blared across screens. Washington storms off Stewart show, privacy clash or ratings stunt? As pundits dissected every frame. Comments flooded in, fans praising Denzel's dignity. Finally, someone stands up to the media circus. Detractors calling it diva behavior. Overreact much? It's just an interview. The show's ratings spiked, but so did the backlash, with boycott calls trending under hashtag respect boundaries. In the control room, producers huddled around monitors, faces pale under the blue glow. "This could tank us, or make us legends," one muttered, scrolling through analytics. Jon paced nearby, his sharp wit dulled by the adrenaline crash. "I didn't mean to cross the line," he said to no one in particular, but his producer shot back a glare. "You saw the signals. Now fix it." Denzel, meanwhile, sank into a couch in the green room, loosening his tie fully now, his philosophical calm returning like a tide. A knock came, tentative, then insistent. Jon entered, sans microphone, the door clicking shut behind him. No cameras, just two men in a dimly lit space cluttered with coffee cups and scripts. Soft overhead, casting long shadows. "Denzel, wait, let's talk." "Off the record," Jon said, his voice stripped of sarcasm, raw with urgency. Denzel looked up, eyes steady but weary. "Talk? That's what got us here. You turned my life into spectacle." But in the silence that followed, a confession hung unspoken. The air thickened as Jon pulled up a chair, sitting opposite like equals for the first time. "I get it. Ratings are king, but I respect you, always have. That family question, it was a cheap shot. I'm sorry." His words carried a genuine edge, the provocateur yielding to the human. Denzel nodded slowly, his gesture measured. "Apology noted. But understand, my family's not fodder. I've fought for privacy in a world that devours it." He paused, a faint smile breaking through. "You know, Jon, you're good at this, poking holes in power. Just remember, celebrities are people too." They shared a tense laugh, the room's atmosphere easing fractionally. Outside, the storm raged on, but here, without the audience's gaze, vulnerability crept in. Yet the real fallout was just beginning to unfold beyond these walls. The consequences rippled outward like shockwaves. In a bustling New York cafe the next morning, Jon's phone buzzed incessantly, texts from friends. "Dude, you went full interrogator mode. Epic, but risky." He sipped his coffee black, scrolling through op-eds labeling him a boundary-pushing icon or a reckless hack. Fans mobbed his socials with support. "Jon keeps it real," while opponents fired salvos. "Stewart's ego ruins another interview." The network brass called an emergency meeting, praising the buzz but warning of sponsor pullouts. Denzel's world spun differently. At home in Los Angeles, surrounded by family photos he'd fiercely protected, he fielded calls from allies. A director friend texted, "Proud of you, man. That walkout? Pure class." But critics pounced, tabloids twisting it into "Diva Denzel dodges tough questions." Fans rallied online, petitions circulating for more respectful media. "Denzel showed us dignity under fire." Hashtag stand with Denzel. Opponents sneered in comments. "If you can't handle heat, stay out of the spotlight." Back in the city, Jon met with his team in a sleek conference room, glass walls reflecting the skyline. "This isn't just about one interview," he argued, his voice rising. "It's freedom of speech. Journalists push, guests push back. That's the dance." A producer countered sharply. But where's the line? You nearly broke the show. Tension flared, voices overlapping in heated debate about ethics versus entertainment. Denzel's reflection came during a quiet walk in the hills, phone in hand as he read fan messages. You've inspired me to set boundaries, one said. But a sharp email from a political activist stung. By walking out, you silenced the conversation on real issues. He pondered aloud to himself. Is silence strength or evasion? The conflict deepened, his philosophical side wrestling with the personal toll. In a fan forum online, reactions boiled over, a live stream where supporters clashed. Jon's a bully versus Denzel's too sensitive. The media frenzy amplified every angle, turning a single incident into a cultural referendum on journalism's limits. Amid the noise, a private call would spark the sharpest flare yet. The fallout intensified with a late-night phone call between the two. Jon initiated, his tone conciliatory but probing. Denzel, the world's exploding over this. What's your take on free speech now? Denzel's response came measured, but edged with irritation. Free speech? Sure, but not at the cost of respect. You journalists act like gods, dissecting lives for clicks. Where's your accountability? His voice rose, a philosophical rant turning personal. Jon fired back, sarcasm creeping in. Accountability? We hold power to account, that's the job. If celebs like you hide behind privacy, how do we uncover truth? The line crackled with tension, words like daggers in the dark. Outside scenes flashed, Jon's wife at home, shaking her head. You thrive on chaos, but this? It hurts someone real. Denzel's son called, supportive but cautionary. Dad, you did right, but now the trolls are out. Opponents reveled in podcasts. Washington's walkout proves he's out of touch. Gradually, the storm subsided. Headlines faded, replaced by newer scandals. But flares persisted, a viral meme mocking Jon's shocked face, or a think piece praising Denzel's stand. The discussion evolved into broader themes: reputation's fragility, speech's double edge, journalism's moral gray zones. Would they find common ground, or let the divide widen? In a neutral territory, a quiet bar in Manhattan, days later, Jon and Denzel met face to face again. No producers, no audience. Jon extended an olive branch first. I learned something. Pushing for truth can't trample dignity. His admission was sincere, the provocateur humbled. Denzel nodded, his charisma softened by reflection. And I see your side, the need to challenge. But next time, let's build, not break. They clinked glasses, a tentative reconciliation forged in mutual respect. Not full absolution, but an understanding, the price of spectacle is paid in human currency. Yet each internalized the lesson differently. Jon viewed it as a reminder to temper wit with empathy, vowing subtler interviews. Denzel saw it as affirmation of boundaries, strengthening his resolve to guard his inner world. The epilogue unfolded in quiet aftermath, the world moving on but forever marked. Dignity under pressure isn't weakness, it's armor. Respect isn't optional in the glare of lights, it's essential. And the cost of turning lives into entertainment? It erodes us all, one viral moment at a time. In the end, who truly won, the one who walked away, or the one who stayed to face the storm? Who was right? Share your thoughts below.